My name's Lena Weller. I'm 33. I teach high school art in a town where everyone knows everyone else's rusted secrets. I've been married 7 years. That's longer than most people in my family thought I'd last. And I used to take pride in that, like I'd earned some kind of invisible badge for enduring what other people would have walked away from. I'm saying all this from a janitor's closet. Seriously. I'm sitting on an overturned mop bucket, staring at a bottle of floor wax, like it might answer the questions I'm too afraid to say out loud. Why did I let it get this far? I didn't plan to cry today. I never do. But something about the way Jared looked at me, like I'd ruined his entire life with one missed keystroke, just broke something small and soft in me. Only, I didn't forget to pay the mortgage. I paid it early, actually, like I always do. But he forgot. Again. And when the notice came in the mail, he stood in our kitchen, holding it like a weapon, and said, real calm, like he'd practiced it. That's your fault, too. That's when I came here, to this closet. Because there's nowhere else in that school where the walls don't echo. You know what's funny? I wasn't even crying loud. Just those quiet, stupid tears that make your throat burn and your mascara sting, like your body is trying to apologize for breaking down. I kept hearing it in my head. That's your fault, too. Everything's my fault, lately. His bad moods, his writer's block, the fact that his car needs new tires, the dishes in the sink, his dreams. It's like living in a house where the walls talk, but only to blame you. There was this moment last month. It keeps flashing back in my mind. It was late. He'd been drinking. Again. Said I was too distracting while he was trying to write, even though I was literally folding laundry in silence. He picked up my sketchbook. You know, the one I've had since college. The one with the corner torn from the time I spilled coffee on it during finals. He didn't even flip through it. He just tossed it into the fireplace. Just like that. Like it meant nothing. And I let him. I stood there, watching my charcoal drawings curl and blacken like dried leaves. I didn't say a word. I told myself he'd regret it in the morning. That he'd say sorry. He didn't. And I didn't ask for one. Because somewhere along the line I convinced myself that love meant absorbing the damage, taking the hit, being the quiet one, the strong one, the one who keeps everything from falling apart. I thought silence was love. Turns out it was a leash. I don't even remember putting it on. It just slowly tightened around my voice, my wants, my boundaries. I stopped painting. I stopped laughing at my own jokes. I stopped correcting him when he told stories wrong in front of people. I became background noise in my own life. People always say, why didn't she leave? Like it's a math problem. But it's not. It's fog. It's every time he kissed my forehead and said he was just stressed. It's every whispered apology that came without eye contact. It's every little, I didn't mean to, that slowly became, you made me. So now I'm here, in this damn closet, trying to breathe through the weight pressing on my chest, like wet laundry. I wiped my eyes a minute ago. Not because I'm okay. I'm not. But because I have a class in 10 minutes and I can't let my students see me like this. I can't let them know their teacher, the one who always says, use your voice, it matters, has forgotten how to use hers. But something shifted today. Maybe it was the tone of his voice. Too cold. Too clean. Like a knife that never needed sharpening. Or maybe it was the way I didn't argue back. I just stood there, holding the receipt in my hand, heart hammering like it was trying to escape my chest. And I said nothing. Again. But now, sitting here, I realize silence isn't strength. If it only ever protects the person hurting you. Maybe next time I won't be so quiet. Maybe next time I won't wait for permission to save myself. My day starts at 5. Always 5. No alarm anymore. My body just knows. Like it's trained itself to wake up before the world gets too loud. Before Jared gets up. Before the coffee pot sputters out its warning growl. I move around our kitchen like a ghost that knows where everything is. 2 slices of toast, a thermos of black coffee, a peanut butter sandwich if we still have bread. I pack his lunch like I'm winding a watch. Same movements, same routine. I write little notes sometimes. Hope today feels lighter, or you've got this. But he never mentions them. I stopped including them last month. He didn't notice. By 6, I'm dressed and brushing my hair into the same low bun I've worn since college. There's no time for curls or anything soft, just pins and purpose. School starts at 8, but I'm always there by 7. I need the silence of my classroom before the kids pile in with their loud laughter and fragile hearts. I hang up my coat, breathe in the dusty scent of old textbooks and poster paint, and try to remember the last time I painted for myself. I think it was last spring, maybe before Jared's 5th job interview that turned into another excuse. Another speech about how he was too brilliant for entry-level roles. How I didn't understand how small-minded this town is. I used to believe him. I really did. He had this spark back then. He'd write at night, pages spilling out of him, calling himself the next Cormac McCarthy. I'd bring him tea and he'd kiss my hand and say, "You're my peace, Lena." Now he just calls me a nag. Or worse, the reason I can't create anymore. The last time he said that, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so sad I didn't know what else to do. He stormed out, told his mother. She called that evening while I was grading papers. "You're draining him," she said, her voice like static. "He was brilliant before you. You've made him small." I looked down at the stack of student essays in my lap, their shaky metaphors, their misspelled dreams, and I just said, "Thank you for your opinion, Marilyn," and kept making tea. That's my answer to most things now. Quiet, soft, automatic. My students ask me sometimes if I'm okay. Not outright. They're too kind for that. But in small, subtle ways. "Ms. Weller, you look really tired today. Do you sleep? Your eyes look kinda sad." I tell them it's the grading. That being a teacher means never really clocking out. And it's true. But it's also not the whole truth. Because it's not the grading that wears me down. It's coming home to a man who used to dream beside me, and now just blames me for where he's stuck. And still, every morning, I wake up at 5, pack his lunch, brew the coffee, smile at the silence. Because if I stop, what happens then? There's this invisible ledger in my head. It's not written down anywhere. God knows I'd never survive seeing it in ink. But it's always there. A running list of things I gave up without making a scene. Quiet trades, silent forfeits, like the down payment on our house. That was me. Every saved dollar from tutoring after school. Every birthday card I never spent. I'd been saving since I was 19. Called it my someday fund. I used it for our future. That's what he said when we signed the papers. Our future. He never mentioned it again, or the job offers. The one in Raleigh, art department lead, better salary, actual benefits. I turned it down because Jared said long distance would kill his creativity. Said I'd be leaving him behind. Said, "You'd really choose money over us?" So I stayed, and told myself I'd get other chances. I didn't. Then there was the inheritance. My uncle left me a small lump sum when he passed. Just enough to give me breathing room. Jared found the check one day and said, "Let's invest it. Make it grow." He gambled it. Not in Vegas or anything. In a half-baked business plan with a college buddy who ghosted us after 6 months. Jared called it an experiment. I called it gone. When I brought it up later, just trying to talk, not even blaming, he rolled his eyes and said, "You love playing the martyr, don't you?" That word stuck. Martyr. Like my pain was some performance. Like I was just auditioning for sympathy instead of drowning in it. And the worst part? I didn't even push back. I just nodded like maybe he was. Right? Like maybe I was keeping score when I should have just forgotten. Then came his sister, Rachel. Sweet on the surface, like a peach that's gone bad underneath. She called me on a Tuesday, voice syrupy, saying Jared mentioned we were doing fine, and she just needed a little help with a down payment on her apartment, $3,000, just for a few months. He said you had plenty, she added casually. Plenty, like I'm hoarding abundance in secret, like the holes in my shoes and the skipped haircuts don't count. I didn't argue. I didn't tell her that Jared hadn't asked me. I just wrote the check and watched it vanish like all the others. That's what I do. I patch. I cover. I fix. Even when no one asks me to. Especially when no one asks me to. There's a quilt my grandmother made when I was a girl. Pale yellow squares stitched with crooked little hearts and messy seams. It smelled like her house. Lavender and mothballs, and old wood. I kept it folded in the linen closet, tucked away, sacred. One afternoon, I found it in the driveway, covered in grease. Jared had used it to wipe down his tires. When I asked him about it, gently, not even mad, just asked, he shrugged. I didn't know it was important, he said, tossing it onto the porch like it was a rag. And I didn't stop him. I picked it up, washed it twice. Couldn't get the stains out. But I folded it anyway, put it back in the closet, still warm from the dryer, still trying to believe it could be whole again. That's what I do. I make ruined things look almost all right again. I convince myself that almost is enough, and the ledger keeps growing. Only now it's starting to feel heavier, like maybe I'm not supposed to carry it alone. Like maybe keeping score isn't petty. Maybe it's survival. 7 years. We made it 7 years. I thought that still meant something. Not everything, but something. So I tried. That morning, I woke up early, even earlier than usual, and sat in the kitchen just staring at the calendar. October 14th. A date I'd circled in red ink like I was still the kind of person who believed in anniversaries. Took the day off work, told my students there was a family event. I even smiled when I said it, like it didn't taste like ash in my mouth. I drove across town to that barbecue place Jared used to love. The one with the pulled pork he used to say tasted like Sundays should. I picked up our usual order, then I stopped by the store. Bought those little white candles that flicker just right in the dark. They were 2 for 1. I almost laughed. When I got home, I set everything up on the kitchen table, laid out the food, lit the candles, dimmed the lights. It wasn't fancy, but it was us. Or at least what I remembered us being. I even wore the blue blouse he used to call his favorite. The one I stopped wearing because it reminded me of a time when he used to see me. I sat there, hands in my lap, waiting. He was an hour late. Then 2. When the door finally opened, I smelled the whiskey before I saw his face. He didn't even look at the table, just dropped his keys on the counter and stumbled past me like I was furniture. "Hey," I said soft. "I got your favorite. I thought maybe we could..." He cut me off with a snort. "Oh, so now you want to celebrate things?" he said, voice thick and mean. Didn't realize we were pretending everything's great again. I blinked. My mouth opened, then closed. "It's our anniversary," I said. Not angry, not dramatic. Just fact. He froze for a second. Like the word registered, like it hit some half-forgotten memory. Then he laughed, loud, Bitter. Cruel. Wow, he said. Of course you'd remember. You love little occasions where you can play house. Makes you feel like all your sacrifices are worth something, right? He moved toward the table, scanned the food, the candles, me. You know what your problem is? He slurred. You smother things. You kill the spark. That's why I can't write. That's why I drink. You suck the air out of everything with your clingy, desperate stability. I didn't speak. Just stood there, heart rattling like a jar of loose change. He reached for the plate in front of him. My grandmother's ceramic one. The one I'd been careful not to chip all these years. He hurled it. Not at me, just away. It hit the wall and shattered. Pork and ceramic and candle wax splattered across the kitchen tile. The room went silent, except for the soft drip of barbecue sauce running down the wall. He looked at me like he was waiting for me to scream, to cry, to beg him to remember who we used to be. But I just bent down and picked up the largest shard, still warm, still sticky. He scoffed. I need some air, he muttered, and grabbed his coat. The door slammed behind him. Stayed there for a long time. Kneeling on the kitchen floor, holding that broken piece like it might stitch something back together if I just held it right. Eventually, I stood, walked to the sink. But on the way, I passed the back door. It was cracked open. The porch light buzzing faintly in the dark. Something caught my eye. A lump near the trash bin. I stepped outside, barefoot on the cold wood. There it was. The quilt. My grandmother's quilt, soaked in oil, dumped like a rag, like it was nothing. My throat went tight. Not from sadness, from knowing, from seeing, finally, with no filter or excuse, all the little deaths. All the ways I had buried myself in love that never looked back. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just whispered it. So low the wind almost took it before I even heard it myself. No more. And this time I meant it. Something shifted. After that night. Not all at once. Not like in the movies where the music swells and someone packs a suitcase in slow motion. No, it was quieter than that. Like a hairline crack running through glass. Barely visible, but spreading. I didn't leave. Not yet. But I started rehearsing. First came the bank account. I opened it on my lunch break, using my maiden name. The teller didn't ask why. I told her I was starting fresh. She smiled like she knew something I didn't say out loud. Then I started saving receipts, grocery runs, utility bills, the shoes I bought for work. I tucked them into a manila envelope in my bottom drawer, the one Jared never opened. Proof of something. I didn't know what yet, just that one day I might need it. I stopped transferring money to the joint account too, little by little. Said it was easier to pay things directly. He didn't question it. Jared never asked about money unless something bounced. Emotionally, I started pulling back the same way. One small string at a time. I still packed his lunch. Still smiled when his mother called me names behind a wine glass. But I stopped listening. I started painting again. At first, just messy sketches on the backs of lesson plans. Then real canvases. Late at night, when the house was dark and Jared was passed out on the couch. It felt like coming up for air after being underwater so long I'd forgotten I had lungs. My strokes were rough, angry, then soft, hopeful. I painted a broken plate, glued back together, a girl curled in a closet, glowing from the inside out, a quilt made of stars. I didn't show anyone. I didn't need to. One afternoon, one of my students handed me a folded note after class. It just said, "Thank you for making me feel like I matter." I stared at it for a long time. Longer than I probably should have. That note lived in my coat pocket after that. a small truth I could reach for when everything else felt like noise. At home, Jared didn't notice anything. He threw tantrums the same way toddlers do, loud and messy and always just shy of apology. One night, he snapped at me because I forgot to pick up his favorite beer. Said I was trying to sabotage him. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You're right." Then I walked upstairs. Not because I believed it, but because I didn't care to argue anymore. He didn't follow me. And that's when I knew, really knew. He didn't notice I was already leaving. Not physically. Not yet. But piece by piece I was extracting myself from the apologies, from the responsibility, from the illusion, like pulling threads from a sweater until the shape is gone, but the warmth still lingers. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I was just done. And being done is quiet. It's calm. It's free. It was a Thursday. Cold rain, thin and steady, drummed on the roof like a soft countdown. I woke up before the sun, like always, made the coffee, toasted the bread. The kitchen smelled the same as it always did, but it felt different. Like the house already knew I was leaving. Jared was still snoring on the couch, wrapped in the quilt that wasn't his. I didn't say goodbye. Didn't wait for a final blow-up, or one of those desperate last-minute fights people think are necessary to justify walking away. There was nothing left to fight about. Nothing left to salvage. I left a letter on the kitchen table. Calm, unemotional. Next to it I placed a printout of all the bank transfers. A list of bills, the water, the electricity, the internet, all now in his name. No threats, no dramatics. Just math, the kind that proves, without shouting, who really kept the lights on. I didn't pack boxes. Didn't take furniture or keepsakes, just my canvases, the ones I'd painted when he wasn't looking, and a duffel bag of clothes. I slipped out while the sky was still gray, and the world hadn't started moving yet. By the time Jared woke up, I was halfway across town. Mara met me at the curb outside her duplex. She didn't ask questions, just opened the door and wrapped me in the kind of hug that doesn't need explanation. Her attic smelled like cedar and laundry soap. It had a sloped ceiling and a single window that looked out onto a streetlight. She gave me a quilt someone had, left behind years ago. Faded green, soft at the edges, warm enough to matter. That night, I slept better than I had in months. 2 weeks passed. Quiet. Unremarkable. I taught my classes. Walked to the grocery store. Sketched things that didn't mean anything yet. I felt human again. And then Jared found Facebook. He posted a photo of our wedding. The caption read, "She left me in my darkest hour. Pray for me." A few likes. Some pity comments. At first. But then someone, I still don't know who, commented, "Didn't she pay all your bills?" That's when it started unraveling. More people joined in. Pretty sure I saw her fixing your porch last winter. Funny how you didn't mention her name when she was supporting you. Sounds like she finally got tired of being your crutch. The tone shifted fast, and Jared? He started getting calls, not from me, but from people who mattered to him, or used to. His cousin, his old mentor, even his mom. People asking questions he couldn't spin his way out of. He texted me once, "You really made me look like a monster." I didn't respond, because I didn't make him look like anything. I just left, and the truth filled the silence. It's strange what you hear in the quiet, once the noise dies down. At first it was just creaks in the floorboards of Mara's attic, the hum of traffic from the street below, the soft rustle of that donated quilt when I turned in my sleep. But then, slowly, it became something else. Breathing. Mine. For the first time in years, I could actually hear myself breathe. Like my body was finally remembering it belonged to me. I started painting again. Not just at night. not just when no one was watching, but out in the open. Big, messy strokes. Bright colors. Angry ones, too. Sometimes I didn't even know what I was making until I stepped back and saw it. One day, Mara suggested I put them online. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? She said, sipping her tea. People might actually love them. So I did. I made a shop. Nothing fancy. Just a little site with pictures of my work and a simple message. This is what healing looks like. And people came. Slowly, but they came. A woman from Ohio bought a canvas I'd called "Shattered Doesn't Mean Broken." A teenager from Oregon messaged me saying it made her cry. And then, one afternoon, an email came from a name I recognized, a former student. She wrote, "Ms. Weller, I saw your post about leaving. I just wanted to say, I left too, and your courage helped me. Thank you." I sat with that for a long time. Just sat. Because it hit me. I wasn't just surviving. I was witnessing. And being witnessed. Then, a few months later, Jared showed up. I heard the knock while I was cleaning brushes. Opened the door, and there he was. Hair overgrown, hoodie soaked from the rain. He looked smaller. Not physically, just like someone had turned the volume down on him. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," he muttered, "for all of it. For what I didn't see. For what I took." I let him talk. Let him twist his hands and search my face for something. Regret, softness, an opening. But I didn't say a word, because sometimes silence is the answer. He eventually nodded, like he understood that was all he'd get, and walked back to his car. I didn't watch him go. That night, I opened the old storage box I'd kept under Mara's attic bed. Inside were the last scraps of my grandmother's quilt, the pieces that weren't too soaked in oil to save. I laid them out in the yard behind the house, lit a match, watched them curl and blacken in the wind, not out of anger, but out of release. A goodbye to the weight I'd carried for far too long. As the last bit of thread turned to ash, I whispered, "Thank you for getting me this far. But I don't need you anymore." And just like that, I felt free. I used to think forgiveness meant going back, bending again, explaining yourself. But now I know. Sometimes, forgiveness is just walking on without the weight. Sometimes, the truest peace isn't found in repairing something shattered. It's found in building something new. If you've ever been blamed for someone else's darkness, if you've ever stayed too long in a place that kept you small, tell me your story. You're not alone, and you never were. If this story spoke to something in you, if you've ever had to choose yourself after being made to feel small, don't forget to subscribe. Here, every story matters. And yours deserves to be heard too.